there is a chunk that I'm just going to be ranting about the Dewey Decimal System.
Great.
Not even about the man himself.
Perfect.
All right. Other than
You
that,
got a professional.
Dewey.
You're a librarian, so it's like kind of like we have legitimate, people on the show.
Yeah. It's mainly this is mainly so I can air my grievances about the Dewey Decimal System.
For once.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm trying to become a professional actor so I can get ahead of this acting bullet that I will eventually take.
Yeah.
I'm
trying to be a professional scumbag. So.
We're all on our way there, Trav. So.
Yeah.
We're someone's history teacher. That's what I know. That's a sad thing.
Oh yeah,
we probably talk more history to kids than
their parents.
Yeah, their parents.
Probably young.
What are you expecting from the parents?
Maybe young adults.
History's really been taking a back line for a long time, and I won't stand for it. Here on Roast Mortem Cast, welcome everyone. It's the show that puts oral and historical. My name is Tom.
I'm Travis.
And I'm Connor.
Okay, we got an update. I talked to Mike.
Okay.
Now, last week...
This just in.
Last week, he hasn't been on the past couple episodes, including the George C. Scott Part 2. I called him last Saturday. No, I didn't call him. I'm going to start over. I kept texting him because I was like, Mike, are you okay? Are you going to kill yourself? Can I have your skateboards?
Yeah.
That's what I kept saying to him.
Oh, I want his gaming PC.
Yeah, he's got cool shit, so I got to dot these T's and cross these I's, as they say. So I'm texting him like, hey, I'm kind of concerned. Don't kill yourself. It's not that cool. And he texts me back a picture of a skateboard. And he goes, did you ever have this when you were younger? And I was like, God damn it, my cousin has lost his mind. It turns out that he hasn't been receiving texts on his phone for the last 2.5 weeks.
Oh my god!
From like anyone with an Android.
I thought you were gonna say 2.5 years because I feel like that's when he's been in the group chat.
So I call about it, and he was like, "Yeah, I was kind of upset you didn't text me about the George C. Scott 2." And
oh no!
Like I had texted. I don't know. It was just like this thing. So I was like, okay, you're alive. This has been a big misunderstanding.
Oh, poor Mike.
Come on over, Mike. Let's hang out. So we hung out on Saturday. We went to Buffalo Wild Wings. What a disappointing stage crew setup.
I feel like that is Mike in his element, though.
Well,
like if you want to see Mike in his element, you got to bring him to a chain restaurant.
No, Mike in his element is the drive-through of a T-Bell. That's Mike's
that's
element.
True.
Nighttime, Mike.
Nighttime.
No, that's his mating grounds.
Well, anyway, Mike, he's dealing with his recovery from his knee situation still, so he's probably going to be missing a few more shows, but he's alive, and he's doing okay besides the knee thing.
Good to know.
No worries.
Remember, if you want to pay for Mike's knee surgery, submit it to our Patreon.
Yeah.
All the money is going to go to Mike's knee surgery.
Maybe. We'll talk.
Maybe.
You're the new one, so we'll see.
I want to get Mike sponsored by Jersey Mike, the sandwich place, and then we can replace his legs with sandwiches.
That'd be sick.
New flavor every day.
Yeah.
Speaking of flavors, how was your week, Connor?
Actually, flavors are a good segue to my week because the most exciting thing I did is my family and I went on a walking food tour of Little Italy on Saturday.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah. My mom had found this as a Groupon and got it for us for the holidays. And we didn't really know what to expect. Like my mom and sister had done one of these before, I think in Midtown, where it was just the two of them and their three of their friends. And they went to 5 different restaurants for kind of a tasting menu at each, and you could order extra from the place if you liked it. Mm-hmm. And there was a tour guide who told you about the history of the restaurants and all that. We are kind of all right, maybe it's gonna be like that.
Was he Italian?
No, it was a very touristy Italian walking tour of this guy who was wearing a fedora. Unironically.
Oh, he dressed up like a gangster?
No, just casual. It was his casual day outfit, and it happens to include a nice silver fedora. He constantly, the first thing he said is hey, we're in New York City, be mindful of the other people around here. And from that point on, constantly would just stop at the busiest intersections and just start talking about the building we were standing in front of. He'd stop at the corner of the sidewalk while there's hundreds of people trying to get by because it was a beautiful day Saturday.
What's this fucking mook?
Jeez.
So we all made the best of it. my mom was like, yeah, I found out a Groupon. Who gives a shit, guys? And we had fun. There's good food. My favorite was either the gnocchi and red sauce or from the same place we had like prosciutto fresh mozzarella wrapped in prosciutto.
Did you have spaghetti?
Oh.
No spaghetti.
Trick question. It's all spaghetti.
What?
If you have pasta, it's spaghetti.
I thought that's macaroni.
No, it's spaghetti.
Okay.
On
No.
Long
spaghetti.
Island, it's spaghetti.
Spaghetti. Okay.
Yeah, how
then
much gravy
we had
did you
gnocchi,
drink?
So, I got the extra order of gnocchi because there was one order extra, and he was like, "Who wants one?" And I popped my hand up for that.
Those are pine cones, right?
Yeah.
All right, cool.
Yeah.
Well, all right, that's
Yeah,
cool.
nice and tasty.
So you went on a historical food tour of New York City.
Sure. That makes it sound real nice.
Well, I'm just going to say that because I had to transition to the West Coast over here. Travis, where was your food tour this week?
Dude, my food tour, I hit up all the classics. Taco Bell, Taco Bell breakfast, McDonald's breakfast.
I like pulling back on McDonald's. Talk about breakfast.
Yeah, Taco Bell breakfast, McDonald's breakfast. Dude, I've been cruising around eating fast food, but I've been going to the gym too.
All right.
So I counter it out, you know?
That's good.
Nice.
Yeah, nothing really to report here. I've just been a busy bee. I will be, well, this is going to be in the past, but I'm going to be in New York and watch a movie with Tom.
Yeah.
For our little movie thing we do on Discord.
George C. Scott movie night. We would have already done this, so I'm assuming it went really well.
Nice.
Yeah,
It did.
We probably pulled in around like 10K, 50K people watching the movie.
George Scott's ghost came back for it. That was pretty remarkable when that happened.
And they're all cool, and none of them are racist.
Yeah.
So keep that in mind if you're thinking about joining a Discord community. That's the most important thing you got to look for.
Man, I want to go on a food tour of Italians. Tom, did you
Go on a better one.
Did you go on a food tour of Indians? Did you go to Hicksville and do an Indian walking tour?
No, that's where my Buffalo Wild Wings was. It was at the Broadway Mall. A great place to be disappointed.
Yeah.
But me and Mike, we have this, we commiserate over terrible experiences. So we did have a great day together. Don't get me wrong.
Okay.
I don't think I can report anything else this week legally.
Yeah, that's what happens when you hang out with Mike. Everything you just gotta can't report anything legally.
Yeah. Taxman's after him.
Yeah.
Along with the tax woman.
All right, so
Doesn't
let's
work for the government.
Yeah, let's roast a boy. This is a very special one because we're probably the most professional and have the most experts on the show. It's a resident expert.
Yeah, true. Connor, tell us what's happening today.
Today, we're going to be talking about Melvil Dewey. Now, if that name is familiar, it's because his name, you've probably heard it before when you were in elementary school, first going to the library, and they were talking about the Dewey Decimal System. And we're going to be talking...
I was going to say, before we go any further, we heard about it in elementary school, but I don't know, if someone's in their early 20s, would they have heard of the Dewey Decimal? Do you guys, is it still a thing?
Because it's still used. We're going to talk about how it's still used and, kind of revolutionized libraries. And I've seen in the libraries that I work at, and then also at when I worked at Book Review, there was always a kid's book that was let's learn about the Dewey Decimal System. Let's learn, because it's useful to know if you're in school. So.
Not if you're dyslexic.
Still used. Not if you're dyslexic. No, not helpful for that.
We're a badass. Continue.
So let's get started. Melvil Lewis Kossuth Dewey was born on December 10th, 1851 in Adams Center, New York. That is far upstate near Lake Erie. He was the youngest of 5 children of Joel and Eliza Dewey. Now, life was not easy in Adams Center in 1851. It's a frontier town for the most part, and this is far upstate New York in the Adirondacks. Most residents of the town, their basic goal is survive the winter, and then in the summer, prepare for the next winter to survive the winter that's going to happen.
You got to imagine, think about those people who moved up there. What psychopaths they were.
Yeah.
I'm going to go there where life is simple and desperate.
Horrifying.
They also had enough flavor and enough culture to put the middle name of their son House in Spanish.
Wait, what was this?
Wait, what?
Wasn't it Casa? Did you say Casa?
No, Kossuth. Kossuth.
So multiple houses from a Portuguese speaking Portugal man, a Lisbon man.
Casa.
So, like I said, not easy. What you're saying? What type of people would move there? Well, mostly evangelicals.
Yeah.
So that's
psychopaths.
That's who's moving there. So it's a town that obviously prides itself dedicating yourself to your work, to helping others because you need to survive winters like that. Now, there's not much to go over about Dewey's childhood. We're going to hit a few points, but the ones we're going to hit are mainly because they kind of inform the rest of his life, and some of them are things that we don't know if Dewey told these stories about his childhood because they fit so perfectly with the man he became, or if they're actually true and just like he was always going to turn into this dude. So let's start first. From an early age, it was apparent to everyone that Melvil liked organization and efficiency. He claims that when he was only 5 years old, his mother had left to go buy stuff in town. He opened up her spice cabinet, thought it was a disorganized mess, and reorganized the whole thing top to bottom.
See, that's a man that's a boy that actually follows through with their organization. I feel like whenever you go to these places like, IKEA or anywhere like that, you see like the tiny little jars or like the spice racks or shit like that. And you're like, you get that organization boner and then you buy the thing and it just sits like next to your desk.
Is that happening right now in your life?
Oh yeah.
And then you have two basils next to each other.
Yeah.
You've got 3 different lemon pepper salts that you don't actually use.
Yeah, I got this, these 3 wicker things that I'm going to put stuff in eventually when I get organized.
This is how we know you're not diseased in this way.
Yeah.
So continue with this man.
So part of the reason this story kind of fits is not only is it organization and efficiency, but for Dewey, it's everything had to be in its proper place. Everything and everyone should know exactly where they fit into the wider world.
Okay.
So this goes from, having the cabinet well organized so you can find the salt and pepper, to also society's less desirables knowing where they stand in life.
This could be fun.
Yeah.
Oh.
So another story from his childhood. This one as a teenager, so he's starting to get older. His dad was a cobbler. Made shoes, sold shoes, all the above with shoes.
Cool.
But the storefront's not doing well. And one day, Melvil, I think he's like 13 or 14, goes over the books, looks through everything that his dad's business is doing, scouts out some of the competitors in the town that are other shoemakers, goes to his dad and says, "Dad, you're an idiot. Storefront's losing money. You should shut it down and only do production, and you should give all of your inventory to the store down the street." His dad hears this, looks around, and goes, "Yep, you're right," and does exactly that.
What world is he living in? Because if I said anything like, "Hey, Dad, that you left the door open," you get hit.
It's amazing. And you'd think in 1860 or whatever, you'd think his dad would just hit him. But no, his dad's like, "You're right."
He would just throw him out the window and poke him in the eyes.
Yeah. Son, I'm going to introduce you to my friend Colt, 45.
Yeah. You don't like my shoes? Well, this one's going up your ass.
Yeah. Well, apparently this dad didn't have a spine.
No.
So he listened
Joel
and
Dewey
he made money.
listened to him.
Maybe.
And I think they did well after this.
All right, cool.
And you know what? I think the story could have been a lot different if he just got pistol whipped.
Yeah.
Because that's what you should do with children. Pistol whip them. I'm not saying kill them, just pistol whip.
Should make that a reality TV show where we take a bunch of like CEOs whose businesses are doing terribly and take their rich, annoying kids and put them through like business boot camps.
And just beat them.
No, and then have them propose ideas to their parents.
Oh.
And then shoot them all.
Now I'm with you.
Not shoot. There. The beating was
now
coming.
I'm with you.
Pistol whip.
Yeah. We just we rate them like a Twitch streamer.
Yeah. Now, another thing about Dewey as a young age, and this one is absolutely true. Like, there's no way this wasn't, and you'll see why. He is obsessed with the number 10 and everything decimal. He thinks everything should be done in groups of 10. He likes how neat and tidy it is. He loves the metric system for this specific reason.
Yeah, go to Europe, man.
Yeah. In a high school essay, he wrote about the metric system, quote, "Its great superiority over all others consists in the fact that all its scales are purely decimal." So he fucking loves it, the number 10.
I mean, I'm not really a good American because the decimal system or the metric system makes much more sense.
It absolutely makes more
It's
sense.
easier to read, but if you talk to engineers, there's a reason behind standard. I remember listening to a podcast a long time ago where an engineer was like, if you're not into engineering, you're going to go, oh, the metric system makes way more sense. But there's something about when they do these giant constructions and
That it's actually easier to
that
do
it
imperial.
it's more efficient, like in measuring and standard. I don't know.
We don't even use the whole imperial system. I mean, in England, they
Well, the
measure
British
each other
do
in
it-
stones.
The British
you
do it the
know?
worst way. It's like, the London's this many kilometers, but you got to go this many miles an hour. Like, pick one. Do one or the other.
But they also weigh themselves in stone. Like, how much do you weigh? And I was like, I don't know. I'm like 385 pounds.
And they're like,
So
oh, you're
fat
rich.
yeah, right? Wait, so the metric system was also invented during the French Revolution, right?
Well,
or around that time?
Wait, it's amazing that you mentioned that, Travis.
Okay.
You always have a knack for these segues that you don't intend. Because
More history predicting than I was doing.
he commonly remarked, and this is the fucking one that he just knew this is the weirdest thing. He loved that he was born on the 10th of December. Now you'd think, oh yeah, he loves 10. He's born on the 10th day. No. Goes beyond that. The 10th of December is when the French National Assembly first adopted the early aspects of the metric system in 1799.
Oh, so
Ooh.
back then, governments have been doing these cutesy things with their implementations of
Yeah,
laws.
that was when they decided, like, this is what a meter is. And then from there, the metric system grew. And so he was like, I was born on the anniversary of when the French made the metric system. I love the number 10. I'm Melvil Dewey.
Awesome. I like my bananas 10 inches long. I like to suck on bananas, everyone. Yeah. I don't like to peel them, though.
Dewey is actually a size queen.
It's got to be 10 inches or no go.
That's it.
So just to keep going on this 10 fascination, this is beyond his childhood, but he'll later have a club in Lake Placid that we're going to talk a lot about. But one of the membership fees was $10, and that was for like a seasonal one as like a guest member, and then a lifetime membership was $1,000.
Okay.
Because he liked the decimals. He made sure guests at his home or at the club had to go to bed at 10 p.m. That was lights out. And it was 10 p.m. was also, if you weren't staying over the night, 10 p.m. was the last train back to Manhattan, because they're always coming up from New York. And he also preferred to write 10-page letters and would always strive to, as he put it, sleep decimally, which meant 10 hours of sleep a night. Yeah.
We're dealing with another very you bring in these people that have very like weird like methodical lifestyles that do things very quirky.
Well, I'm about to talk more about Melvil, and we're going to remind you of Gustav Krupp, and maybe they would have
right.
gotten along really well for a few more reasons that we'll find out.
Well, I mean, obviously, there's something wrong with his brain a bit.
People have said that he probably had not OCD, but OPCD. So, like, OCD is obsessive compulsive disorder, but OPCD is obsessive personality compulsive disorder. Whereas,
Right.
like, I don't know the difference specifically, but like OCD is like you have to do those certain rituals in your head, whereas OPCD is more like you find something that you like and you just obsess over that thing.
All right.
And that's kind of
Okay.
what he's doing with the number 10.
Well, you know, our
and
old,
everything else he does.
Our old motto for the show, which still kind of rings true, is that mental illness is hilarious. So
yeah.
I'm excited.
And also, if you want to get the high score of smoking cigarettes, you're going for a COPD.
Oh, right.
Yeah.
Careful. Get
Yeah.
the high score. You will suffer the price of being too cool.
Yep.
So, Dewey, from a young age, also, he had like big dreams for himself. He wanted to reform the world, basically, and his idea for how to do that would be education. For his 18th birthday, he went out and bought himself a nice pair of cufflinks, but he inscribed them with the letter R, which is weird because his name is Melvil Dewey. But he told people the R stood for reformer because he wanted to reform the world.
Oh no.
Awesome.
Yeah.
There's so many people. He's like the guy that whatever activism right now. It's what Ukrainian flag goes on his profile.
Yeah.
Right. Picture.
Would he have
Kind
put
of.
the Ukrainian? I don't know if he would have put the Ukrainian flags.
Well,
Well, you know what I mean. The
I know
sentiment. He's
what
like, I'm a reformer.
He would have been holding rallies at universities to get critical race theory thrown out of schools. That's what he would be doing right now.
sounds like me.
All right.
So part of all of his obsessions with efficiency and reform has to do with he believes in time saving to the like highest degree possible.
Okay. Even though he's sleeping 10 hours a night.
Yeah,
That's
right.
when I was like, how do you square those things? But I guess it's better than 10 minutes a night, and it has to be a 10. So I don't know. Maybe sleep 10 minutes every hour, but never fully sleep.
That's like a Winston Churchill move. Isn't that what he did?
Yeah. So I don't know. He basically had like a near-death experience in his late teens from a fire, and he kind of realized like death is lurking around you at any moment. That doesn't mean you should live life to the fullest and like have fun all the time. It means you should try to accomplish everything you want to accomplish in life right at the beginning. Like, don't waste time. Do it. But
YOLO.
this led to some very bizarre time-saving methods that are going to like follow him all his life. The one that sticks out the most, and he becomes like a campaigner for this, along with a bunch of other like 19th century intellectuals, is he believed in writing in shorthand and wanted to reform the way English was spelled. Like across the board.
That's awesome.
Oh.
Wait.
Yeah. So he would only write in shorthand, and he had like his own shorthand style. He would always ask people who were writing letters back to him to do the same type of shorthand style. And he would join boards for like campaigns for simplified spelling. Like Andrew Carnegie was a part of this. I think when Teddy Roosevelt was like kind of an advocate for this idea, because this is only like 100 years previously was when spelling had kind of been codified with the dictionaries and everything. So this is when people still thought it could be changed.
I mean, it can be. It is all the time.
He believed that simplified spelling could shorten an 8-year education into only 6 years. just from shorter spelling.
Yeah.
It's like, maybe, but we'll see.
But you know what? People love to do what they know, right? Like there's that whole thing where you can set your keyboard, what is it called, Dvorak or some type of different layout where like they were like, oh, this layout of keyboard is the best way to type. It's the fastest way to type. Like, and we still use the QWERTY keyboard, even though it's like the least efficient layout for a keyboard.
Yeah, the reason it's laid out like that is so the typewriter hammers didn't hit hit each other with common letters being pressed.
Yeah.
So just because they invent shorthand doesn't mean that anyone wants to read that garbage of dots and squiggles.
Stupid.
And I wrote down his spelling for some of the letters that we're going to get to, and we can go over that when we get to it.
Nice.
Yeah. So despite all of his strangeness, all his oddities and eccentric behavior, it is very obvious to all around him that he is an extremely intelligent, extremely smart person. And this is at a time period where going to college actually meant something, where this is like your actual way to get an education. You know, he's from a hard scrabble upstate.
I know you said that
chance to get profession.
Just to not hurt Travis and Maya's feelings.
I'm looking at
I appreciate it. I know many of our listeners are also hardworking men and women.
Yeah, but also
that don't care for college life.
It's also back in the time where it's like if you were able to sell 2 apples, you could become a lawyer.
Yeah, like his dad sold like a new pair of shoes and was like, "We're getting you to college, boy."
Yeah.
So he briefly attended Alfred University in upstate New York, but he did not spend any long time there. He quickly transferred to Amherst College in Massachusetts. Now, the primary reason for this was he loved that Amherst offered an outstanding physical education program.
Oh, one of these guys.
Well, not really, because I couldn't find an explanation for this. Despite saying that the phys ed program was the reason he left, the only sport he partook in at Amherst was horseback riding, and the only reason he did horseback riding is because it was faster than walking.
Oh. And horses shit 10 clips at a time.
Yeah.
Maybe?
I was going to say Amherst had a 10-course program, and they offered 10 sports.
Yeah. So he was like, that's my school.
Yeah. Curling counts twice because it's extra manly sport.
There's a pitcher and the broom man.
Yeah. It's around this time that Melvil shortens his name. So he was born Melvil Dewey, spelt Melville, the normal Melville, and Dewey, Dewey. He changes this to Melvil Dewey, Melvil, and Dewey, Dui.
DUI?
DUI. Dewey.
Great.
Dewey.
So good.
He believed this would make it easier for people to communicate with him. It would make his life simpler because he wouldn't have to waste his time on 4 extra letters. However,
This guy's retarded.
it did not stick because his bank was like, no, we're not honoring this change. And he goes, all right, can I keep the Melvil shortened? And they're like, sure. So the Melvil sticks. That's why whenever you see him, it's spelled Melvil. But the Dewey, he goes back to the full spelling.
So dumb.
Not going to be the last weird spelling thing he does. He does this literally up until the moment he dies.
I look forward to this. I want to read everything this man's ever written.
Yeah, and he's a prolific writer, so we got a lot of his letters. Wow. Now, he was not the most popular guy at Amherst College because someone who wants to go out and reform the entire world is probably going to be lecturing to his students, which is what he did.
They weren't even his students, though.
No, it's just his classmates.
Just the
classmates. The students.
Right.
He lectured them for wasting time, for not getting to places on time, and he really, really hated that they smoked tobacco.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
Trying to get that high score of COPD.
Not Melvil.
Do was a serious buzzkill.
Yeah.
So Mel is there and he's like giving lectures, and fucking Bryce at Amherst is like, yo, bro, chug it. Here, take this beer bong, bro. It's like, I do not have time for that.
I'm wondering if someone who's sick of his shit, if he was like, you got to stop drinking all those beers, would be like, well, I drank 10 beers, bro. Isn't that better than none?
And he's grinding his teeth. 10 beers? 10 of the devil's demons?
What if I drink an 11th, dude? You gonna be mad?
Yeah, what if you smoke 10 cigarettes a day? Ooh, tricked him.
He'd probably have an aneurysm.
Yeah.
He went to such great lengths about his hatred of tobacco that he had like a few friends, but he like calculated how much money they were spending and would like show them bills and be like, this is how much money you're spending lifetime on tobacco. This is how much like you're wasting all your money on this offensive product.
This guy would have bought Bitcoin in 2009 and sold it for some shit coin the next year.
Yeah, he would have sold in 2011 and been like, great profit.
Yeah, I made a profit, and I'm buying some...
It increased tenfold. I gotta sell.
Oh, so this ties into How's Your Week. There's this asshole that walks down my street. And you can't smoke in your apartment. I wouldn't want to do that. So I got to smoke out on the sidewalk. And every time, he never says it to my face. He always just like mumbles some shit about smoking. Like, and it's always dumb. It's always just like the same, oh, smoking's bad for the baby. Or something like that. Like, he'll just like walk by and like say that shit.
One of these confused Portland residents that think you're a woman that's pregnant or something while he says that?
I don't know.
Yeah, you ask him what baby?
So this Dewey Decimal idiot does this week, and I just fucking flip. I'm like, you passive-aggressive cunt. Like, come on, fucking say that to my face, you dick. Like, I'm shouting at him in the street. Just like, hood up, walking.
Did he didn't turn around or anything?
Nope.
It sounds like Melvil.
Next time you see him in the street and he's walking by with his hood, rape him.
I think that's what I think is the logical thing. I think I'm in the right to rape.
Yeah, you are. He said enough things at you. All right.
So now we're at a crucial moment in young Melvil Dewey's life, because now at Amherst College, I believe in his second or third year there, he walks into the library at the school and is like, what the fuck is this shit? It is a disorganized mess. Books are everywhere. You can't find anything. He does not like what he finds. He immediately applies for employment because he wants to reform the library. And his primary goal is, rectifying all the mistakes and all. He wants to create a new system of organizing the library.
All right.
Now, at this time, he had a point. Libraries, up until this point, have no real uniform cataloging or organizational framework. Basically, and this is like whatever happened at Amherst was kind of a symbol for like what's going on in every library at this time. They'll have a section that's like, this is history, this is science, this is math, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But the list of all the books that they have in like the card catalog, when it lists where the location is, it'll say like history, third floor, second shelf, or like second aisle, third shelf from the top, like halfway down. To find that, and then you that's
a
like
little rough.
It's like, all right, a little rough. So usually it'd have like the floor number, the aisle number, shelving section, all that stuff. Now, sure, that's fine. But if you think about it for like half a second, it's a disaster. Because like, what if your book moves?
Well, like, I mean, I feel like that's even more codified than how you would send a letter back in the day. Back in the day, there was no like numbers on houses. You just be like, that third house off of the main street.
Yeah, the wood.
Yeah, next to the statue of a troll.
Yeah. So it's like this convoluted mess that if a book is if you're weeding the collection, then you have to like take books off shelves, and then the shelves move. So now you have to re-catalog every single book that's in the library. What if you add a bunch of new books and you have to build a new shelf, and then the shelves move? Well, now you have to re-catalog every book in the library.
Man, this would make me want to invent a computer.
Yeah. And not only is like it just like the history section, it's just that's it. It's just history. So you're going to have like one book will be on the Civil War, and then the next book will be on the ancient Greeks, and then the next book will be about like the middle-aged Chinese area,
bullshit.
And then like the next one will be like a very contemporary history book, and then another Civil War book, but not next to the other Civil War. It's a mess.
Right. So history of knitting is always next to Abraham Lincoln.
Yeah.
It's basically like trying to search a subject on Netflix, where you're like, I put in horror, and there's the Veggie Tales. Like that's not even horror.
They don't have horror on Netflix. Netflix is terrible.
Yeah.
Now, not only is this confusing for the librarians, but because of how confusing the system is, most libraries at this time don't let people into the stacks. So if you are a student and you want to get books on the Civil War, you have to go to the library and say, hey, I'm looking for books on the Civil War. They say, all right, wait here for an hour. And then the librarian disappears into the shelves, finds all the books that you need, and then brings them back to you. And then if you go, actually, I need books on this part of it, they go, all right, I got to go back and then look through them all. Because it was too confusing to like let people just wander, and then if they did, they're going to be moving books around, and now all the card catalog is out of order, and it's a fucking mess.
Dude, librarians are probably so jacked.
Yeah.
Fucking moving all them books for people?
Probably.
But like also unintentional gatekeepers. Like there could have been a book that had exactly what you wanted, but because you couldn't go look, you had to learn what this guy wanted you to.
Yeah. And that's what Dewey notices all these problems. And this is the type of thing that like it's one of those ideas that sounds so obvious in hindsight, but there's no one did it up until him. Mm-hmm. And so like his idea is just so revolutionary. He's thinking, I want to create a permanent classification system where any book or where one book in any library is going to have the same indicator of where it should be found. So it doesn't matter what library it's in, it's going to have the same thing, and all the nonfiction is going to be arranged together, and you'll be able to like go through, find what you're looking for. And not only that, but each of those indicators are going to be used so that the books in that subject are right next to it. So that way someone browsing can see all the stuff that they're looking for. Now, he's trying to think of how can I do this? You know, he doesn't have a set idea yet.
He
just
invented
knows
like
wants
analog
this.
Google, really.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about Dewey. I'll mention this now. He's a mad genius. Like, this idea is so revolutionary and still in use today because of how brilliant it is. It's all the implementation of it, and the fact that it was a white guy born in 1850s America that it came up with the system is why it has so many problems now.
Right.
We'll get into those.
We have, I feel like a good tandem episode to this is when we roasted, I think his name was William Chester Minor, he was the guy who basically wrote the Oxford English Dictionary.
Oh, yeah.
Also,
I've heard of that guy. Yeah.
Yeah, also a fucking whack job, like with like codifying words and like, I don't know what it is. If you're like
in a prison or in an asylum or something?
He was in a prison.
Yeah,
but
and then he chopped his dick off.
Yeah, he's cool. Dewey is not like he still doesn't. I don't want to drink a beer with him.
No.
Minor, I kind of want to drink a beer with.
You'll find out why he wouldn't want to drink a beer with you specifically.
No, but it kind of just goes to show you the like what these grammar Nazis are like. You know what I mean? Shut the fuck up. Sorry, I said is instead of are. Like, do you want to be like these creeps?
Yeah.
No.
So Dewey has this idea, and again, it's still loose at this point. It's just he knows what type of classification system he wants to put in, but he doesn't know how he's going to do it. Well, he thinks back, what do I love most in this world? The number 10. Boom. Solution to all his problems is the number 10. Reportedly, this happens while he's attending a chapel service that, like, he just has, like, a bolt of lightning moment where he's, like, 10 categories, and then 10 smaller categories, and then 10 smaller categories. This is my genius.
Love it.
Yeah. And he did all this at the age of 21, because on May 8th, 1873, 21 years old, still a student, not, he's still just a junior, working at the library. He gathers the professional librarians, a bunch of professors, and like the board of Amherst College presents his idea of, I want to create a classification system for the books in the library where we can have like permanent classification. It'll be easier to find it. Go try, Travis.
I was gonna say, do you think like the master librarian, like Jerry, was like, no, this is how we do it. There's a pile of books here that is for beauty, and then there's a pile of books here. This is how you breed donkeys. All these books, all for breeding donkeys.
Endless knowledge at your fingertips.
Well, you'd think they might, but no, his idea is so obviously beneficial and so obviously like the way to go that they immediately are like, yes, we'll do whatever you need, assemble a team, let's do this. We think this is a fantastic idea.
Here's your pro bono Illuminati gift card.
Yeah. You're one of us now.
I think the master librarian Jerry just got like voted.
He was like about to start his like objections, but then everyone else beat him to it by saying, "This is brilliant." He's like, I guess I gotta keep my donkey breeding books somewhere else.
Yeah, he had a slow hand raise for I.
Yeah. So in theory, like I said before, the Dewey Decimal System is a stunning human achievement, completely revolutionary in its approach to how to organize knowledge, and the true genius is that it can be applied to any library. Anywhere, no matter how big or small their collection is, they can use the Dewey Decimal System and have the same structure of organization that makes it easy for the librarian and for the patron browsing. And that's that last point. That's kind of why people are allowed to browse through libraries today, is because Dewey made it so easy that the libraries that had been restricting people from going through the stacks, now that they have this system, it's like, okay, well, everyone can look through. So that's like the gatekeeper knowledge. He like broke down that gate to like let people access the knowledge directly.
The supermarket of knowledge.
Yeah. So now let's talk about the Dewey Decimal System.
Okay.
Let me air my grievances.
Remind me.
All right.
Yeah, you have to deal with this shit on a daily basis. Yeah.
So the initial 10 main classes that Dewey comes up with, and again, this is trying to compress the totality of human knowledge into a number system from 000 to 999. It's a pretty daunting task.
Are you telling me that he already foresaw all the books written for boomers that explaining TikTok in the past?
Yeah, that would be in the 600s.
Oh,
I'm going to ask you a few questions.
So I'm going to go through the 10 first. So this is what his initial ones were, and I'll go over if they changed. So the 0s to 99 is general. This is now computer science, information, and general. The 100s is philosophy. 200s is theology. Now it's just religion. Not really a difference there, but I don't know. They changed the name. 300s is sociology. 400s is philology, which is just language, and still just language. 500 is what was called natural sciences. Now it's just science. 600 was useful arts. Now it's technology.
Useful arts.
Yeah.
I like that.
What is that? That's an oxymoron.
Yeah. Well, wait, then the 700s are fine arts.
Right.
Yeah.
So one's for Subway sandwiches.
Yeah.
And the other one's for
one's useful,
Jared.
one's fine. The fine arts, that later includes like all recreation, but that wasn't initially. The 800s is literature, 900s is history. Now, all that sounds good. Could you think of a subject that you think should have taken precedence over any of these? But I kind of feel like anything could fit under one of these 10 umbrella categories.
Wait, so you're telling me that the fine arts, you said it changed in the recreation?
No, it's like fine arts and recreation.
Right.
So if I'm trying to find a book on how to smoke the dankest weed, I'm going to go to fine arts.
You'd probably go to the 500s for natural sciences, because that's where like herbology, gardening, and that stuff is.
No, this is recreational, bro. It's not medicinal.
Right. 700s then probably. Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, I can't think of anything I wouldn't. I don't know.
Because I think he kind of covers it. And it's not just him. It's like he's leading this project, obviously. But others at Amherst are helping him come up with like the 10 categories.
So isn't theology versus religion, like religion is a practice-based thing and theology is like the history of religion?
Yeah.
So like they could be combined.
Yeah. And it kind of is. It's just like the different terminology used nowadays.
It's a very Christian thing to go like, this is the religion. This is like where the real religion is. Yeah. And then if you want to study your books about Greece people, then it's here.
Well, we're going to talk a lot about that.
Oh.
Now look,
Well, I think it does cover everything, but at the same time, Connor, you said it's been like modified since.
Oh, yeah. So
you know what I
there's
mean?
been-
Like it's
I think 26 major editions of the Dewey Decimal System, and Dewey himself wrote the first like 3 as they kind of refined it as it was going, and then it's been refined. The last major one I think was in 2012, but there's always like small updates happening throughout.
Well,
Yes.
I'm excited for the day that furry porn is added to the Dewey Decimal System.
Probably under, I don't know if that'd be under technology
No,
or
it's going to be its own
recreation.
thing. I mean, they're going to start.
They'll just make the hundreds.
Look, the internet's
Get
going to
rid
go
of
down.
philosophy.
The internet's going to go down at some point, and those hard drives are going to come out. They're going to all go to the FedEx. They're going to make their books.
Yeah.
It's going to be fine art of sort, but they're not going to be next to the other fine art.
Yeah.
I want all of you to go to your local library and ask what section is the furries in.
Yeah, where does the study of furry porn go? Now, look, like I said before, a lot of the problems that are going to happen with the Dewey Decimal System stem from the fact that he was a evangelical born in 1850 New York, and so just by that, he's going to be a little racist by our modern standards. But by the standards of the time, he's not exceptionally more racist than those around him.
Okay, hold on a
So,
second.
judging him-
1851 he was born?
Yeah.
Dude, he's obviously not racist. He was born in New York. That's a union.
Oh, right.
We
Yep,
won.
Can't be racist.
How-
for a union.
he
There you
couldn't-
go.
he
I'm
couldn't
sorry,
be.
Melville.
Haven't you ever been to a history class? They
Clearly
can't be racist.
Yeah, Abraham Lincoln wasn't racist. He freed the slaves.
Yeah, no one in New York's racist. Or Connecticut, especially.
So most
Most of what I'm
especially
going to they just really like white hoodies there. They're not racist, but they just love white hoodies.
Yeah, and it's just the stitching that makes it point up. That's all.
Yeah.
It's just the stitching.
But
It's a look.
faulty stitching.
Yeah. Now look, confining all of human knowledge into 10 categories is kind of crazy, but like we said, these are big enough to adapt it. But it's when you get into the subcategories that all of the problems with this system being set up by a guy in the 1800s becomes very obvious. Tom, you brought up religion. It's perfect because that's the one I'm going to spend most of this time on.
Nice.
200s.
Yeah.
Religion. Supposed to encompass all of humanity, right? That's the idea. All of human knowledge is going to be
Sure.
compressed into these.
Connor, there's only one guy in all of human knowledge, Jesus.
Well, Melvil would say the same because the first 9 subcategories of the 200s that cover religion is exclusively for Christianity.
Wow.
Oh.
The 220s.
And is that still today?
That's still today because it's too expensive and too cumbersome to change all of that. They can work around the margins, but it's kind of hard to reform the whole thing from the ground up.
So 1 through 9 is all Christianity, and then the 10th subsection, I'm assuming, is just a bunch
No,
of
it's
dirty
0. So 0 through 8. So
0
it's like-
through 8. Okay, so it's indexed.
Yeah, so like 200s to 209 is general religion, but when you look at like the 201, 202, it's pretty clearly like Christianity.
Right.
The 210s is comparative religion, but it's mostly about comparing different Christian sects.
It's great.
The 220s is just the Bible. Like 220 is the Bible.
One
and then
chunk.
221 is this part of the Bible. 222 is this part of the Bible. 223 is like this aspect of the Bible. 223 is these debates about the Bible.
So
I don't know, Connor. I mean, you
wait,
could do.
I'm just getting
Yeah, say it. Hold on. Say.
The 230s is Christianity. The 240s is Christian practices. 250s is Christian orders. 260s is the history of the Catholic Church. It's insane. All of the like first 9 up to the 290s, which is then other religions.
Right, which is a bunch of dirty scrolls thrown
Just
into the
other
janitor
religions is all of the 290s. Every other religion that has ever existed in all of humanity is under 290 to 299.
I mean, we're in America. Let's be real. That's
It's so bad.
yeah, it's fine. But what are you doing reading religious books? There's churches for that.
Yeah.
Go
right?
away. I'm not offended by the ratio there. I'm just offended that it's there in general. Like, what are you doing
We
here?
don't need religion. Yeah.
You have tax-free housing for this. Like, don't make me pay for this with taxes.
Yeah.
That's true. Yeah. I was going to say, you joke that like there's a section just for Bibles, but dude, they got so many bangers on there. They got like the King James dog, like, that jump off. They got
I think one of the small subsections is editions of the Bible, and it's just like here's all the different editions.
Wow, that's fucking awesome.
So the 290s are so messed up because of this. Because not only are the 290s all other religions, The first 4 are about ancient European religions. So it's
Paganisms,
even more Eurocentric. So it's like 290 is like other religions general. 291, ancient Greek and Roman. 292, ancient Spanish Portuguese religions. 293, Germanic religions.
Do you think when he was doing the test run of this, there was some guy who was like had a book on Shinto and he was like going to put it on the shelf? No.
Hey,
get that out of here.
Can we do this?
No, put that over there.
Weeaboo. Get out of here.
Yeah.
So let's talk about one big one. That's so Islam, second biggest religion in the world. That gets its own sub number. That gets, I think, 295. I think is Islam.
We should have taken that away from them in 2001.
Well, Hinduism, the world. Hinduism, the world's oldest continuously practiced religion, the third most populous religion in the world, does not get its own unique number. Because 294 is for religions, Indic religions is what it's called. So all religions that originate from India have to be under 294, which means every single book about Hinduism is under 294.5, and then whatever other numbers they have to add to like say what type of book it is about Hinduism.
So what is this? Is this why they ruined the Beatles or something? Like why did they come over here and give us acid and start? I don't know.
They're mad at Dewey. So
that was the whole reason why the Beatles got into those European or those Indian religions. It's got where the guy was giving out acid in the library.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now this is true for almost all the other like larger sections as well. So like the languages, the 400s, the first 8 are all different European ones, and then it's like 490s, all other languages. So like one of the sections under the 490s is all Southeast Asian languages, which means all the languages spoke by a group of people that's like 3 billion people is under one tiny number, whereas like a small sect of German has the same exact level of number.
All right, yeah. I mean, it's they call it the gobbledygook section. It's not even real.
Yeah. Now look, this all sounds pedantic because if you think about it, you're like, well, no, you just keep adding numbers, and all the books that are together will still be together. They'll just have a long number string.
Yeah.
But then you just think about a spine of a book; it's not going to fit all those numbers, and it's also hard to catalog when you're getting into that granular detail. So what ends up happening is you just chop it off at one point. And so then when you have all the Hinduism books, they're not going to go past 294.5. So then if you're looking to write about a very specific part of Hinduism, the section's going to be huge, and it's not all going to be, it's going against the purpose of the system that he set up.
So what
it's
counterintuitive. What you're saying is that Dewey's going out of his way to save a lot of people's souls.
He really wants them to read about Jesus. Yeah.
Do you think there's people out there? I mean, you might know. Are there people out there that's trying to change it, and then people like Joel Osteen are like, no, that's my bookshelf area.
Thankfully, there's
local libraries.
We'll get into. You'll see why there's really no one on the other side of that argument. There's no one left defending Dewey. This kind of all flips in the 90s, where everyone's like, "Oh, we're no longer going to defend this guy, and we're going to work our asses off to change it." Yeah, so these are the most obvious examples. Is the religion one is glaringly obvious. The language ones too, because it goes counter to what his whole idea is of placing them together based off subject. But there are other problems with it. We're not going to go into all of them, but I want to mention this one. It wasn't until 1996 that texts relating to homosexuality were stopped being listed under the number 132 for mental derangements, or under the number 159.9 for abnormal psychology. Yeah, 96 is when they finally are like, we should just put it with other sexuality. Right.
Yeah,
Look, the AIDS crisis is over. We're all right.
We tried to get them with the AIDS. They're not stopping.
Yeah.
Let's stop.
Our president's half gay. You know what I mean?
That's fun. All right.
So that's the Dewey Decimal System. It's brilliant. It's got its problems. It's been changed. They keep tweaking it, but who knows how successful that'll be. But it's still used in almost every single public library you're going to find. Should also at this time mention the Dewey Decimal System is only used for nonfiction. That isn't because there's a space in it for no space for fiction. There is a space for fiction. It's because Dewey hated fiction and believed it served no purpose in life.
Yeah.
So there's not a good. It wouldn't work to use Dewey for fiction. So fiction's still just last name by author.
Right.
Yeah.
Huh.
Yeah.
Okay.
So that's why most libraries here's the fiction. It's just the author's name. Here's the Dewey Decimal System for all the nonfiction.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what books are for learning.
Yeah. Yeah. No one learned anything reading Moby Dick.
What are you going to reference in a fiction book? It's fine. There it is. It's the author.
Go read it.
Pick it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Exactly.
I'm not trying to learn about worms and sand and dune. I want to learn about real worms and sand in the Dewey Decimal Dune area.
The Dooney Decimal?
The Doonies would be under probably sciences.
Yeah.
So we could go on this. I could go on and on about this, but let's get back to the man himself. So again, he's 21 when he presents this idea. They work on it for a few years before it's ready to be published. In 1876, they publish it out. The initial publication of the Dewey Decimal System is called A Classification and Subject Index for Cataloging and Arranging Books and Pamphlets of a Library. It's an instant hit. Everyone loves it. It's being adopted by dozens, then hundreds, then thousands of libraries almost immediately. That shows kind of how incredibly revolutionary it was and how effective everyone recognized it to be.
Right. And I don't mean to belittle what you do for work, Connor, but it also illustrates how bored people were at the time.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. I know how to look
God!
I know how to look at a book so I can look at these Douglas first.
I can find all the books about the worms.
Yeah.
They're all together.
It's good, don't get me wrong, but
yeah.
See, I would have been pissed. I'd be like, damn, I love digging through these smelly old books with silverfish in them. They're my favorite activity of the day.
yeah.
So like I said, such an obvious improvement on what libraries had been doing that everyone in the library field immediately he becomes like a household name in the librarian world overnight. And he's viewed as like a prodigy. He's like 24 when this is all happening. And everyone's like, this guy's a genius. He's going to revolutionize our field. And he continues to do so. After taking a position at Amherst after graduation, he does not stay long before he leaves to found the Library Journal. The Library Journal today is still the premier trade publication for the library profession.
Cool.
And he founded it back in 1870s.
Does it have like a centerfold of just like an organized shelf or something?
Oh, yeah.
And you guys are like,
see
oh,
them?
yeah.
God.
Connor goes to work. He opens up his locker and he's got the centerfolds like slapped on there. Oh, man, baby, look at those 300s.
Yeah.
Woo!
We got him pasted on the wall of the reference office. Oof, it's so hot.
I mean, we've all sat in the bathroom reading one of our parents' magazines as a child and seeing the ads and the clip-out coupons for those items.
Yeah.
You know, oh, this canvas sun hat. Oh, look at this hammock. Oh, look at this cutting board.
Yeah.
Like that. I just imagine a whole book of that.
Kinda. But the Library Journal would be revolutionary in changing how librarians thought about their own profession. And it's stuff that's still being used today. So here's a quote from one of his articles that he wrote in the very first issue. It's an article titled The Profession. Quote, "The time was when a library was very like a museum, and a librarian was a mouser in musty books, and visitors looked with curious eyes at ancient tomes and manuscripts. The time is when a library is a school, and the librarian is in the highest sense a teacher, and the visitor is a reader among the books as a workman among his tools." So that's a pretty amazing, laying out the foundation of what librarians should be, and something that librarians today, myself included, still believe in.
But I like
we're helping you
museums.
find your tools.
Okay, so just like Dewey,
No, please, no.
All right.
But that shows kind of how, in the library world, most people don't like him because, again, we're not up to the bad parts of him yet. But he's still he did create the modern library science world.
All right.
So there had been movements among librarians since before Dewey was even born to create a professional organization. This is the time of year. This is the time when professional trade groups are kind of becoming a thing. So it's like the late 1800s. It's like there are lawyer groups being set up, banking groups, doctor, trade professions. And in 1876, at the Centennial Exposition in Philadelphia, the American Library Association is formed, and Dewey's signature is the very first one on the charter. The American Library Association still exists today. So again,
Damn.
long-running shit that he formed.
So it was formed by the little kid and Malcolm in the Middle. That's amazing.
Yeah, exactly.
Signing it while dealing with a serious wedgie.
Yeah. Fucking Reese, mean wedgie.
So Reist.
So it was also at this event where Dewey met his first wife, Annie Godfrey. She was a librarian at Wellesley College. The two would be married up until her death. They would have one son, who they named Godfrey, after her maiden name. And that would be Dewey's only child, young Godfrey.
His
Let me
nickname
guess.
was 10.
Probably.
I was going to say, let me guess. She was 10 years old when they married, and she died at 100. He made sure she turned 100.
He carried
Dead.
her corpse around for quite some time.
Yeah. He pushed Godfrey's head back in. That way she had a 10-month pregnancy.
Yeah.
He Jackie Chan'd that Godfrey.
It's around this time in the late 1870s where he's continuing to innovate for libraries. He's also running like a small company that sells library supplies. He invents the hanging vertical file, which I'm not entirely sure what exactly it was he invented, because whenever I looked up hanging vertical file, I would just get pictures of filing cabinets. Right. So I don't know if he invented filing cabinets or just like a different type of file organization thing.
No, it's the file with the hooks on it.
There you go. That's the one.
Yeah, that goes into the. It's a hanging file.
Yeah. So yeah, he invents that.
It's awesome.
Shit.
He also standardized the size of cards in the card catalogs, because it used to be that every library's card catalog would be different sizes. He standardized the sizes, standardizes where the information on it goes. That way, going from library to library, it's all the same and it's easier to read.
Yeah, because they used to give the local mungo some scissors and some oak tag and go make some cards.
Yeah, make some cards for us.
Yeah.
All right, so now it's 1883, and Dewey kind of not at the peak of his fame, but still like the next great thing, the great thing in library world. None other than Columbia University asks him to establish the very first library school. It would be the first institution created with the sole intention of training librarians for the working world. Dewey immediately sets to work. He thinks this is kind of like his life's goal. Like, he loves the Dewey Decimal System, but this is really what he wanted to do: reform education, teach the next generation. And so he creates a curriculum that's going to prepare librarians both for like the practical aspects, but also like the theory aspects. So learning how to do collection development, learning how to stock the shelves the right way, how to write a card catalog, all the things a librarian might be expected to do. Now, what he does next is even one of the most radical things he could possibly do at the time.
A kickflip.
He does a kickflip right in front of the board of directors of Columbia.
Sick, bro. You're hired.
And while he's doing the kickflip, he tells them, of my initial 26 students, 19 of them are ladies. Now,
to
us now, we're like, oh yeah, librarian, female-dominated profession, obvious. Well, no, it wasn't. It was male-dominated at this time, but Dewey firmly believed that women were the future librarians of the world. He was always convinced they were destined to become librarians, and he was adamant that despite the fact that women were barred from entering Columbia University, he brought in 19 women to be his first class.
That's very progressive.
Right? Isn't that so nice?
And probably in an ass-backwards way, because he was probably like mothering of knowledge. Stay in the kitchen, cabinets.
He's like,
kind of like shelves. Is that kind of the direction? Yeah.
It's going to be more nefarious than that.
These books are babies. These women will treat the babies with respect.
Come here, Tabitha. I need to test out the new library copier. Why don't you sit up here? You're wearing, just hike your dress up a little bit more so you look warm. And let me just photocopy that snizatch.
Now, one of the reasons he believed this was that librarians are generally a public-facing position, and that in order to do their job adequately, they need to gain the trust of the patron that they've just met. He thought women were better at doing this.
Breasts.
Yeah, we're all of his student double Ds.
No, it's just so good because it really is like the jokes are actually what's going to happen.
Woo! Good.
Yeah, so he's like, yeah, no, they're better suited to this task.
Yeah, the more knowledge they have in the chest region, the better they're going to be as a librarian.
Perfect.
So part of the application, though, required information for the applicant's height, weight, hair, and eye color, and also strongly requested that a photo be included on the application.
There you go.
in every single article I read that mentioned this, they also went out of their way to mention that the rumor that he also requested they put down their bust size was not true.
All right. Okay.
But every single article went out of their way to be like, but that rumor that he asked for how big their boobs were, that's not true. He didn't ask for how big their boobs were.
But he could have. And I mean, I get it. You're preparing people to read. You want to warm those eyes up a bit.
Yeah.
They're about to slink into a world of
Get
text.
them moving around, bouncing.
Yeah, ogle a bit. You don't want to walk. Oh, whoa.
Yeah.
What, a big baby guy?
Dude, I can't learn now.
Yeah.
You gotta lubricate them eyes with cleavage, so they slide across the page better.
Exactly.
Yeah.
It's like pre-cum for your eyes.
I just love that. Like every single article was like, no, the boob thing, not true.
The boob thing.
Like I didn't see
Love
one
it.
saying, "Oh, and he also requested bust size." All of them were like, "No, he didn't.
No.
So it was like it had to be such a pervasive rumor that everyone had to go out of their way to be like, "No, guys, he only wanted their pictures."
Everyone made the joke.
Yeah. When asked about why he required all this stuff, his response was, "Quote: You can't polish a pumpkin." What the fuck?
Oh, God. Mary Todd Lincoln would not be allowed into the library.
Yeah.
Never a librarian.
So another reason that he thought women were the future of libraries was that he also kind of viewed librarians as the support staff for the real thinkers, which would be men.
All right.
So this would free up educated men to do other jobs, whereas educated women would be perfect for libraries.
But then he's also kind of calling himself a woman. She's like, I'm the master librarian.
No, he's setting them up.
No, he's he's the director of the library.
Okay.
They do the grunt work.
He's the head coach.
Yeah.
Yeah, but as we've seen in the 1999 version of The Mummy, a woman in the library is going to knock over all the shelves in the very beginning.
Oh, good point. Did he get involved in nailing or bolting down, riveting these shelves down after seeing that movie?
Yeah,
Maybe.
Probably.
We're gonna
like dominoes,
I'm bringing a
dude.
lot of women in here. Okay.
There's gonna be a lot of broads.
Yeah. So what we're gonna need to do is make the shelves a little lower than we had them previous, because we don't need them climbing up and lawsuiting us into the ground.
Well, wait a minute. Here's another thing. He's always believed that men should be paid more than women, even in equal roles. And he justified this by saying, and this is even the case for the librarian, basic jobs that he thought women should be doing, but even if a man was doing it, they should be paid more because, quote, this isn't quote, they can lift more things and men could climb a ladder.
Yeah.
So I guess he doesn't think women can climb ladders.
Dude,
well,
clearly in the movie.
decent women can't.
Capital R reformer.
Yeah. This is the quote that is alluding to that. He says, quote, there are many uses for which a stout corduroy is really worth more than the finest silk.
A stout corduroy. I want that to be my rap name. Stout corduroy.
Stout corduroy. That's great.
Yeah.
He was probably laying in bed at night and going like, I wish these women could climb ladders, but then they'd have to wear dresses. Not wear dresses.
Then they'd have to wear corduroy.
They'd have to wear corduroys.
Yeah.
And can't have women wearing corduroys around books.
Yeah.
What is this, a farm?
Now, despite Dewey's horrendous motivations for why he wanted women to be,
Yeah, they're fine.
all the librarians, it actually is the reason why there are so many female librarians is because it is a public-facing position, and this is the time when more women are starting to be educated, and educated women as they're entering the world, the only female professionals they're seeing are librarians. So it kind of becomes a feedback loop of well, I'm an educated woman, but the only women I see working are librarians, so I'm going to become a librarian.
I
So
don't
it kinda
buy
just
that. I don't buy that at all.
It became a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Yeah, but I don't buy it because, you're always going to see more female strippers than male strippers. It's just it's just the way of the world.
So,
Ladies like quiet, from my understanding.
oh, okay.
I've talked to many ladies who listen to the show, and they listen to the show in very low volumes.
I know a lot of little boys that watch a lot of Macho Man Randy Savage. I don't see any more Macho Mans.
You know a lot of little boys?
Travis,
No,
what's up?
growing up.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Wait, they're growing up or when you were growing up?
Dude, Macho Man's dead. You can't grow up to be Macho Man and be a ghost. You can't grow up to be a ghost.
I can grow up to be where Macho Man is now.
Yeah,
Dead.
That's true.
However, so despite all this, Dewey does some amazing work at the Columbia Library. He extends the operating times from they were open 4 days a week for limited hours to open 7 days a week for extended hours. He opened browsing shelves to the patrons, and in the first year after he had taken over, circulation of library materials jumped over 500%.
Wow.
So clearly doing something right. I mean, at the library nowadays, we get excited if we get like a 0.5% boost in circulation. We're like, holy shit, everyone was taking out books last year. So 500% increase.
It's all
Now they,
picture
just
books,
had,
though.
now they just had to forget to return them, so you guys roll in the money.
No, most libraries don't do fees anymore.
What?
Well, how do you manage to keep the books then?
If you don't return the book ever, then you just can't ever take a book out again.
Okay.
But if you return it late, if you still bring it back, your fine just gets waived.
Then there is no fine.
No, there's no fine.
Dude, how are you going to be
Not
rolling
every
in the
library.
money?
I don't want to give out bad advice to somewhere out in the Midwest where they're still, hunting you down.
What people in the Midwest don't
Going
go
to
to
libraries.
libraries?
You're right.
What is
sorry.
that?
Do you know
What
that
mean
was-
joke is that?
That
You
was
can make fun
actually
of women. It's a joke. They get it. Not
that
the
was
Midwest.
actually the first job that Dog the Bounty Hunter took on. He was tracking down library fees.
It was he saw the Library Cop episode of Seinfeld. It was like, I want to
Yeah.
be like that guy, but with wicked hair. I don't know if he sounds like that. I don't know if I've ever heard Dog
Dogs,
talk.
kind of. Well, not as New York.
Not yet.
Yeah,
But
most
still
of our
gravelly,
impressions
right?
here. Well,
They all just turn into
he's
New
got
Italian.
this thing going on a bit. It's not Alex Jonesy. It's more like I'm gonna be your friend, bruh. He says "bro" a lot.
Yeah,
Anyway.
brother.
So despite all these successes and the fact that Dewey is like doing great things in the library, Columbia shuts down the program and fires him because he kept training women. He kept bringing women into the school, and they're like, we can't have this.
What a bunch of prudes.
Yeah. So they fire him. They're like, get out of here. Shutting down the library school. But the model of library school that he had set up at Columbia is already spreading by this point. Other schools are opening up. They don't require bus size or photos on their
That's a
applications.
problem.
Did they?
More of them are more open to allowing women. So now this kind of becomes the basis for how library schools operate. Dewey is not down on his luck really at all because he almost immediately becomes the director of the New York State Library. He establishes a new library school in Albany, and basically overnight, the New York State Library system becomes one of the most efficient in the entire country. He would remain in this position for nearly 2 decades, and he is continuing to pioneer and shape new avenues of what librarianship means. During this time, he opens the first library for the blind. Don't really know what they're getting except for Braille, because there's no audio at this point.
It's just like a room.
It's a circle-shaped room, and they say all the books are in the corner, and go find it.
That's it. Just go find your shelf.
I'm assuming they just wrangle up all the old men of their village, and then, in this giant auditorium, there's just a whole bunch of old men telling stories, but they all kind of just overlap,
Bunch of deaf old guys who forgot what their voice sounds like.
Yeah.
How are you talking about the mind? All day.
Yeah.
I want
This
to
is-
learn. I want to learn how to construct an automobile. Let me tell you about the mine. The mine
All right,
was
son.
deep
Listen.
and dark, and my dad threw me in it. I don't know. I have a lot of prospector in me right now.
Yeah.
He would open up the first traveling library to serve underserved communities and rural communities. He created the first interlibrary loan program, which, if you think about libraries today, that's like the number one thing they do is interlibrary stuff. So, if one library has it and the other library doesn't, they can just work together to get it to the patron. He's the first that came up with an idea of doing this and a system of how to make it work. And he also opens the first children's library.
Dude,
So-
kids don't know how to read. They shouldn't even read at all. Kids are stupid. Just give them fucking Raid Shadow Legends. Let them farm Chinese coins.
So now we've been praising Dewey. He's got a lot of great ideas. He's got some not so great ideas. And he's got some odd ideas.
No, he turned around on me. I actually really I give this guy a 9 out of 10.
He likes that it was out of 10. Good scale.
Right. I'm using his system. I'm showing him roast mortem. 1/3 of us really approves highly.
See, I'm going to use a different ranking system. I'm going to give him G's. Big G's.
Big G's? Great.
Big G's.
Good job.
Yeah, I don't know how many inches in diameter that is, but he's got G's, dog.
Big G's.
Nice.
However, it is in this position as the director of the New York State Library that some of his private life starts to come out, and what one favorable biography, written shortly after his death, would simply write off as womanizing behavior. Let's talk about one specific situation. The head of the Public Documents Division was one Adelaide Haas, and she was a colleague of Dewey while he was in Albany and she was working in New York City. She had come up with a bibliography that would help with the organization of government documents. So government documents, they usually don't have an author. They're just kind of harder to fit into the Dewey system, so this would be like a system of organizing these. She's trying to work on finding a publisher for it. Dewey writes her and is like, hey, I think you have a great idea. Why don't you come up to Albany this weekend and we can go over and try and figure out how to get this published.
Right, but it was a 10-page letter.
Probably, yeah.
Right.
Or maybe if it's a really short one, he just does 10 lines,
Right.
And he's like, I can't stretch this to 10 pages. I'll just do 10 lines.
He writes haikus now.
And after he did that, he set up the American Ninja Warrior of ladders in his library that you have to climb.
Prove you're worthy.
Yeah. And
Do it in these finest silk.
You are not wearing any stout corduroy. Ha!
Get past my two sunbathed men with giant Q-tips.
So here's what we know about this weekend that Adelaide spends in Albany. She arrives, and Dewey picks her up from the train station. And after a single car ride, Haas gets out of the car and flees and runs back to New York after one car ride.
Oh.
Dewey, oblivious to what had just happened, would write to her often and once asked, quote, why she ran away so suddenly. And then in that same letter continued to fawn over her, writing, but I am very glad that I know you better. Sometimes I think of you as Cordelia, for your voice is hers. Sometimes as Brunhild, fair, blue-eyed Saxon. Yeah, so not only is this the worst attempted spitting game of all time, even back then they were like, what the fuck are you writing about, you weirdo? Who writes like this?
Yeah, you get... we're in 1890s now?
We're in the 1890s, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, it's a little dated even then.
Yeah. It's like you're writing love sonnets to a colleague after you probably just sexually assaulted her.
Let's not go with probably. Let's go with had a great time that she wasn't into.
Ophelia, madame, would you like to see my decimal? The decimal, the singular decimal.
It's 0.1.
I had one of my balls removed so I could make my cock and ball into a 10.
The doctor said adding 9 was too much. Yeah, so this is weird. Dewey continues to pester her about coming back to Albany. In one letter, he wrote, quote, the snow may prevent having as long as an auto trip as we did before, but I have a nice pair of horses, and we will give you a little fresh air that will do your Manhattan brain good.
I like Manhattan brain.
That is good. That is a very good choice of words. You got Queen's brain, dog.
Yeah. Let me ask, you say he's writing her, is she replying to any of these?
I think the first one or two, she just replied very quickly, nope. Yeah, let's keep this. If you want to help with my publication, fine. That's it. And then send them off. And then after this one, she's does not speak to him again.
Right. That's just getting the text back, lol.
Yeah. Or just you see the 3 dots and then they go away and that's it.
Yep.
Now Haas, to her credit, resolute in not letting the incident get to her. At one point, it kind of comes out that he had definitely done something, and the board of regents, which he sits on, goes to her and is like, "Hey, what happened?" She was like, "I don't want to make it public. It was a private matter. I'm dealing with it. It's my. I don't want to make a big stink of it." So definitely you just part of the time also.
You just also mentioned the board of regents. Does this guy write the regents?
Well, he's the reason the board of regents is so powerful. I didn't really go into that because it's kind of whatever. But
I know that's local, but
he
New
sits on
Yorkers
the
have
board
to
of regents,
take the regents, which are the dumbest tests.
Yeah, he
school.
probably didn't come up with the actual regents, but he's the reason that the board of regents controls education in New York.
Man, I would love to hang that guy personally.
Yeah.
See, now you don't really like him that much.
Well, I like
now you found out about this.
Well, I found out the Regents fella.
We almost lost Mike at a young age. I remember he told the story of getting hit by a car because he had to go take the regents.
Yeah.
Murderers. Attempted
murderers.
Unbelievable.
It was also widely reported that Dewey was routinely harassing his 2 female live-in assistants. I think having female live-in assistants at this time is, harassment enough.
It's
and
fun.
he would apparently frequently assault and harass them.
He had a term for them. He just called them harem.
Yeah. Dewey's behavior with this was so bad that even his friends kind of started to be like, Dewey, come, what the fuck on? What are you doing? One other biographer who was writing in the 40s when it's still very positive and glowing biographies of him went so far as to say, quote, although he did not lack friends, they were becoming a little weary of coming to his defense, so endless a process had it become.
Look, he's raping a lot of people out there, okay?
Look, we're sick of
Someone's got to do something about this librarian.
1 rape a month, all right? We can't defend 7.
He's like Jeffrey Epstein of books.
Yeah,
I was gonna say I feel like that happens.
No, he's more Weinstein. He's
Okay.
that's his behavior.
You're right. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I was gonna go with what's his name? Jello pudding.
Oh, Bill Cosby.
Cosby?
Yeah,
No,
Cosby.
Of the 3, Weinstein is because it's the same thing where it's young up and comers in the profession who think that he can get them ahead. He'll invite them to the house in Albany and then sexually assault them.
Huh?
Right. So look, you know what you're in for. Careful. Careful, ladies.
You know what you're in for.
Yeah. Listen, I always protect yourself, ladies. Don't go trusting men all the time.
Yeah.
They're not always good guys, especially ones who are professional.
Professional pigs.
Quote unquote professional. But there gets to a point where it's what are you doing?
Yeah, so
I'm glad what was her name again?
Adelaide Haas.
Adelaide Haas. Good lady. Stood up for herself, ran.
Stood up for herself and was like, fuck that.
Booked it.
Never
yeah.
dealing with this guy again.
She also invented avocados. The Haas avocado. Exceptional.
Nice.
Check out the Haas on her. That's the joke he said. And
and she had to run away. It was so bad.
yeah, she's like,
Yeah, so by 1900, it's obvious that Dewey is a serial sexual harasser. It is well known, basically, among its community. It's not a secret at all. We're saying it's kind of like the Weinstein thing where other female librarians would warn other female librarians about him because his behavior was that predatory.
as they should.
Yeah. And you'd think that a guy like this would be somewhat careful, somewhat try to hide his proclivities.
Yeah,
No.
he's good at organizing. You can organize your lies.
No, this is not the case. Before we get started, there are going to be 2 major scandals that consume Dewey's life in 1905 and 1906 that occur basically at the same time. We're going to tackle them one at a time. So when we're up to the second one, just remember that all we're going to go over now is happening at the exact same time as the second scandal.
That's great.
Yeah.
Really just getting a nice 2 for 1. It'd be like if OJ did the murder and then also was
Didn't
Bernie
pay his
Madoff.
taxes?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. These are so bad, these 2 things.
But just different bad things. All right. So in 1905, the ALA has a big, that's the American Library Association, has a big conference, and they celebrate afterwards with a 10-day Alaskan cruise. So this cruise is off the Alaskan coastline. It is all of the bigwigs in the American library profession. They all know each other. They're on a boat for 10 days. There's nowhere to go. What does Melvil Dewey do? He sexually assaults 4 different women over the 10-day trip. All of them speak up about it. Not all of them are assaults. Some of them are just sexual harassment. One of them, or maybe 2 of them, are definitely assaults. And it's so beyond the pale that the board of directors finally is like, we got to do something. This has been building for years. And this is probably the first case of ever someone being canceled for a Me Too movement where they're like, Dewey, you're out. You're kicked out of the group that you founded.
Right.
We don't want to deal with your shit.
Let me ask, too. This is at a time period where they're saying they're getting sexually harassed.
Yeah.
Women today, they believe they're being sexually harassed when you say something like toots or sugar tits. Like, he's almost raping them.
He's 2 fingers
right.
in. Two fingers in.
Back then, they would say all those kind of mean things.
Yeah, and it was just like, nope. This is like, it's beyond the pale. Some people have been like, well, you're just like applying 21st century morality to these people. It's like, no. At the time, they're like, you're a monster and you need to be dealt with.
All right, throw him in the ocean.
It wasn't like he was at the cruise buffet and then he was like, lady, could you pass me those melons?
Yeah, wink, wink.
And then winked.
And then grabbed her tit. Like,
hey, Clara, looks like you're stacking on a few pounds. Don't rub that booty out. You know what I mean? We like them high and tight around here in the library. Why do you talk like that?
Hey, meet me. What is the sexuality decimal?
I think it's in the 300s for sociology.
Oh, meet me at 3:20, lady.
3:20
at 10:10.
Right next to A for anal sex.
Yeah, so again, don't think that this is us being like, oh, like we gotta tear down old historical characters did bad things. No. At the time, they're like, he needs to be rid of.
Connor,
right?
Roast mortem doesn't do that.
No, I know we
do
don't
not
do
project
that. I meant
that.
society writ large.
Right.
So
yeah, but that doesn't stop these like clickbaity things from like, did you know Dewey Decimal is rape?
Did you know when you read from library, you're a patriarchy?
Yeah.
Sounds good, BuzzFeed.
Yep.
Yeah, great.
Let's
Good job,
send that
Buzz.
to the presses. Let's make sure you are out of business sooner than later.
Yeah.
They already ripped us off with roast mortem once.
Yeah, that's true. We didn't
Remember that?
Dude, yeah, BuzzFeed had two fucking dinguses. They had some show called Roast Mortem.
What?
Yeah.
It came out after our show too.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
And they were selling shirts at Hot Topic. For
you can
Roast
actually
Mortem.
still buy those shirts. It just says Roast Mortem, but the money goes to them. And
Not us.
if you're going to send anything to them, it shouldn't be money. It should be bombs.
So if you guys are in a Hot
and
Topic and you see
whatever.
that shirt, just steal it.
Yeah, steal it and buy the Rick and Morty shirt.
Yeah.
Because we support.
You
Rick's
throw
and
gasoline
Morty's.
in the face of the lip pierced cashier.
There's
So
snake
like we
bites.
said, everyone at the time knew Dewey was a predator. Tessa Kelso, one of his contemporaries that even before meeting him had refused to ever meet with him because of this reputation.
Smart.
She was the head of the Los Angeles Public Library. In one address that she gave later, she said, quote, "For many years, women librarians have been the special prey of Mr. Dewey in a series of outrages upon decency." So again, it was well known at the time that this guy's a monster. So much to the point that like people would refuse to meet with him ahead of time, knowing that he's a monster. And all of his abuse was directly reflective of his own worldview that we talked about when he was a child. Everything is hierarchical. Everything is in their place. He would only direct his abuse downwards. So it was always assistants, students, low-level employees. If it was a colleague that he viewed as like somewhat equal, he would never do this behavior to them. It was all just like social castes that he viewed it as. Like there was one story, I couldn't find like the details on it that I heard, but he was sexually harassing a woman, not knowing who she was, and then found out she was like the head of a library somewhere of like a similar rank to him. So then he immediately like overnight just stopped harassing her.
You know, for a guy who hates Indian religion so much, he sure acts exactly like every Indian man.
He probably would have enjoyed being born into a high caste in India. He probably would have thrived there.
Yeah, the caste system actually has a whole 100 sections that you get into. Just the caste system.
Well, yeah, wait, are there 10 castes or maybe 100? He could do 100, but if there's anything other than 10 or 100, he couldn't do it.
Yeah.
Do you think that he reincarnated into a booby?
Yeah, he reincarnated into an elephant tit.
Yeah. His behavior was so aggressive to these types of people and to people he viewed as lesser than him that his son and daughter-in-law moved out of the estate that the family shared because of how much he was assaulting his son's wife.
Oh.
Dad, please stop raping my wife.
Stop groping my wife at the dinner table.
It sounds unreal.
It sounds insane.
Quit.
That's Melvil Dewey.
Quit
I was on
grabbing
the-
her
yeah.
tits.
Yeah.
I was on the library computer, and I was on this interesting website called Pornhub, and it showed all these scenarios that I aligned with.
Could you imagine that first time they sat down? Okay, married couple, we're sitting at the estate, first dinner down.
Can I get a feel?
Son's wife, can you get me some Kool-Aid, please? Closer. More Kool-Aid. Come closer. Oh, that's a nice feel. They're nice and warm in there.
And his son's like, Dad's doing it again. This is my wife.
Seems to have spilled some hamburger helper on my crotch. Can you clean it off?
Just like my first
Standing
girlfriend.
on the table. It's like, lick it off.
Clean it off, baby.
That's horrifying for that woman.
Yeah. So that's the first scandal, is the cruise scandal. But that's kind of like when it all comes to a tipping point. That's 1905. He's removed from the organization in 1906. But like I said, there's another scandal that is unfolding simultaneously to all of this.
Okay.
But for that, we're going to have to back up and give a little information on one of Dewey's side projects that he was very passionate about. He always believed in outdoor recreation, good health. This guy didn't like tobacco, didn't like drinking. He believed
Athletics
in,
departments,
athletics,
school.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hard to hear the
specifically-
screams and no's out in the woods.
Exactly. Yeah. And it's like a good reason to go out with a woman. It's like, oh, we're out jogging.
This is normal.
That's why I'm so sweaty.
I mean, one of the things he wrote was, if a woman's raped in the woods, is she really raped? That's not me, that's him.
Yeah, that was a weird paper he wrote.
Yeah.
In shorthand.
Dr. Seuss actually illustrated it.
He probably would have spelled, based off the other books or other writings he's done, he probably would have spelled raped R-A-P-T. So maybe they're like, oh, he's wrapped with attention with the women. No. He's writing raped.
Well, now we know what new metal band he was in. Trapped, for those of you at home.
Yeah. So this project, like passion for his culminates in developing Lake Placid, New York, into a large vacation resort that would operate as a private club. And his idea was he wanted to turn Lake Placid basically into like the famous alpine retreats that the Europeans would go to in the winter. So like St. Moritz or Chamonix, these like ski lodges that like did year-round stuff, but were mostly like where the elite would go in the winter to hang out.
Right.
Little would he know there would be a giant alligator in the lake, and that would be the end of that.
That's a hell of a scandal on his hands.
Yeah.
So he had begun this project 10 years earlier. He and his wife had bought up property in 1895, and he is personally credited with introducing many European winter sports to Americans. This includes bobsledding and speed skating, among other things.
He also forced water sports on a lot of women that vacation.
Summertime water sports. Go into the stinky cabin.
Wintertime water sports.
Yeah, wintertime, just before it freezes.
Time to warm up.
He developed all sorts of programs. He built up the area, building lodges and all this. And he, along with his son Godfrey, are the reason that Lake Placid, tiny little Lake Placid, New York, has hosted 2 Winter Olympics. They hosted, obviously, the 1980 Miracle on Ice, Lake Placid. But the 1932 Winter Olympics, Godfrey was like the guy campaigning for that, his son. So that's the reason that Lake Placid, we all know what that place is.
Do you think the
town of like
Japanese-
1,000 people?
Do you think the Japanese have an equvalent to Dewey that's from Nagano? Because I remember the...
I think they have half of a population that's similar to Dewey.
Yeah. That's true.
Yeah.
More into tentacles, though.
Right.
Now, the club had all of because it's Dewey's club, it has all of his weird little proclivities and oddities. The main clubhouse is the Adirondack Lodge. Lodge is spelled L-O-J.
Great.
Lodge. This is
Don't have time for ease. I don't have time for ease. Fuck that shit.
I'm really upset by that concept, by the way.
What, L-O-J being lodge?
Yeah, it's like, I gotta save all this time. Like, how much time
Well,
are you losing to this?
Let's see how much time. Here's a dinner menu from one night. I'm just gonna read it, and then I'm gonna ask Tom to look at it.
Okay.
Haddock, potted beef with noodles, parsley or mashed potato, steamed rice, butter, and lettuce. Sounds like a pretty good menu, right? Tom, why don't you read what's in bold?
All right.
Or just try and spell it out. Maybe.
Beef with noodles, NOODLS. Parsley, PRPARSLI. Or mashed potatoes, MASHT, potato. Steamed rice, RYS.
RYS for rice.
RYS.
This butter lettuce, BUTR and LETIS.
Were you just reading lines from the room?
Like, I always expect that to be handwritten, one of the letters backwards.
I love that potted beef is POTED.
Yeah.
Potted beef.
Potted beef.
Yeah. And haddock, he just drops he drops one of the D's and the C, so it's haddock, HADOK.
Haddock.
Could you imagine that rich couple that goes there and they're like, well, I heard they had the first Special Olympics here.
No, I'm thinking like, oh, honey, wow, this is real fancy. We're in like a French restaurant here. How do you pronounce this? Haddock.
What is reese? Oh no, rice.
That's rice. Mr. Dewey likes it that way.
Yeah. And I like it also doesn't even work. Like mashed and steamed are both ED. Mashed is MASHT and steamed just drops the E, but has the D at the end instead of steamed.
Steamed. I like steamed.
Yeah. That's gonna be our new metal band. Steamed.
Yeah.
Girl, steamed.
Retarded.
Yeah. Really doesn't help when people are like, well, wait, what does this word mean? No, wait, what's that word mean?
Yeah, we're saving a lot of time here. Don't you understand? We're refactoring. What was the word he used? Reforming
Reforming
the world.
Reforming.
Yeah.
We're reforming the world. Okay, we're RF.
It would be like REF
and
RMT. Reformed.
we're reformed the world. Consider yourself reformed.
So Dewey loved this club. This is really what his passion project became. He's still working in all the library stuff, and he's holding the library conventions at the club. So whenever there's like a big library meeting that needs to happen, he's like, hey, I got a place. We're going to go to the Adirondack Lodge. You're going to eat haddock and potted beef.
Oh, yo, you gotta try the
special.
Yeah, and
you have to try the steamed clams.
Yeah, he's a librarian, and like there were other people that liked the cause of the spelling that he was championing. There are other people that are probably like, we're fucking librarians and you're spelling everything wrong. And he knew it because the like Dewey publications that he would send out were written in normal English because he knew that no one liked his writing style.
But he's trying to make these people the inner circle.
Yeah, basically.
So he's like, look, when you're here, you're retarded family.
Yeah. Now, whenever
the Olive Gardens.
Unlimited breadsticks.
British.
Unlimited. UNLMTD.
Spaghetti carbonara night.
Dude, he'd have a field day with like Italian foods, like what you just went on, fettuccine. How you? Fettuccine.
So many T's in this.
Yeah,
he would hate Italy because Italy loves doubling up their consonants.
Oh yeah,
big fans of that.
Yeah. Now, when he held these library conventions at the club, he would always hide all of the club rule books that were in the club's houses. He'd hid all of the rule books about like what are required of members from his guests at the library convention.
Okay.
Why would he do this? Well, in 1903, at one such convention, somebody forgot to hide all of the club's rule books because one librarian sees a book on an end table and goes, well, I'm a librarian. I have to physically pick up every book I see. That's part of the code. Yeah. I have to follow that too. It makes it very slow to do anything. And he flips through it and he's like, let's find out what Melville's doing. He's a fucking weirdo. He's probably got a weird club. What he finds kind of shocks him. In the rules, it is stated, quote, no one will be received as a member or guest against whom there is a physical, moral, social, or race objection. It is found impracticable to make exceptions to Jews or others excluded, even when of unusual personal qualifications.
Sorry, Woody Allen. You gotta stay at home.
Yeah.
Not to hang out with your nerds.
Yep. Tom doesn't want to have a beer with you. He
won't know. I denounced my Judaism a long time. That's why I don't make Jew jokes anymore.
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
and Tom's also in the hit band Steamed. So he's definitely going to want to meet him.
He'll be like, he'll say, "Look, you're a really nice Jew fella, but I don't know if I can let you in the club." And I'll go, "Before we leave, did you hear my new band, Steamed?" And he'll go, "Steamed? What kind of word is that?" And I'll show him.
And then he'll be like, "Oh, that's fucking sick."
Yeah! Metal horns!
Yeah. Put your 2 fingers up in the sky. Show off 1, 2, baby. Let's go with, I don't know, K-Rock. Remember K-Rock? Well, he would love that because they didn't have an extra K. At the end, it was K.
Oh, it was just KROC?
Yeah.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, yeah, he'd be like, fuck yeah.
Yeah, Dewey, this is my channel.
You dudes rock.
Hi, this is Dewey. I just want to call in to recommend System of a Down's Spiders. The song's really important to me. Could have spelled it a little shorter, but I really like it.
It could have saved me a lot of time if they got rid of the vowels. Now, the man who finds the rulebook quickly brings it over to one of his friends, a Jewish librarian by the name of Henry Leipziger. Now, Leipziger, up until this point, had a really good working relationship with Dewey. Again, Dewey hid all of these proclivities, and then his racial discrimination from his colleagues. And Leipziger had previously asked Dewey, "Hey, I want to join your Lake Placid club." And Dewey always we're full membership. Sorry, you can't join this year. Maybe next year. The next year come around and be like, "Hey, I want to join." "Oh, I shouldn't really do this because I don't like to mix my personal and private lives. So you got to talk to other members." And they'd be like, "Well, they told me to talk to you." He goes, "Sorry." And just always is giving him vague answers to why he can't join.
All right. Oof.
So Leipziger reads through the rulebook, sees what's going on. He waits until there's a quiet moment during the convention, and then immediately stands up, holds up the rulebook, and announces to the group why he's leaving after what he's found, and storms out of the convention along with a few other friends. Let's not get carried away. Nobody gave a shit that it forbade black people from entering the property.
Yeah.
The real problem is the anti-Semitism.
Well,
and only because he's in New York.
Right.
Let's be really honest.
It's a heavy percent of the population. Also, there was a huge rise in anti-Semitism in this time period globally.
Yeah.
So, this...
Yeah, we're in 1905.
Could have been welcome, in Jersey, probably.
It could have been welcome 20 years later, or...
Yeah, 20 years later,
everyone
really ramped up.
Yeah, so it becomes a big scandal. People are, and because again, Dewey is the head of the border regions. He's the head librarian for the whole New York State system. So once this comes public knowledge in 1905, right as the Cruz scandal is hitting the papers, it's all kind of coming to a head. And in 1906, Dewey is pressured into resigning his post as the New York State Library Director. So now he is out of the ALA. He is no longer running the Library Journal, and he is no longer the New York State Library Director. And it's at this point that his impact on libraries kind of ends, his active impact. Obviously, the role he played leading up to this, that impact is still with us today. But in 1906, he's no longer doing an active role.
I got to ask a question. Did his Dewey Decimal System go outside of the U.S. to other...
Yes. I forgot to mention that. That was one of the first things he did after it initially took off, is before they even made a second edition, they made an international edition. I think nowadays most international libraries don't use the Dewey system. A lot of and also I should mention most academic libraries, even in America, don't use the Dewey system.
They use the pile of books system, right?
No, they use what's called the Library of Congress classification system, which is better for academic books. Whereas Dewey is better for more casual public library type browsing.
I use lynda.com for all my books.
All my book needs.
I look on the books.
I go to Linda.
Linda, how do I get smart at this? She tells me. She's nice.
So now Dewey, his professional career in libraries is basically over. He's in his mid-50s, so really he just continues to run the club. That's going to be his project for the rest of his life.
Come on down, some of you.
Yeah, he runs it the exact same way. He never changes the rules about Jews or anybody else. And it would go even further, because anytime property remotely in the Lake Placid area came up for sale, he would buy it, even if it wasn't part, or ever gonna be part of the resort. And the reason he did this was because he didn't want Jewish people buying it. That was his only motivation. Was don't let the Jews buy up the property around me.
He didn't have to worry about black people buying it.
Yeah, probably. I mean, it's 1906.
Yeah, they're not.
Yeah.
It's different.
Different
you know?
time.
Yeah. Another weird thing is like it was Jewish people, and it was also really like aggressive towards anyone who had tuberculosis or anyone who's like recovering from physical afflictions. We're like, you're not allowed. You're not allowed here. You're sick. Get the fuck away from me.
You gross TB. What's interesting is when you drive around upstate, I mean, especially like in the Hudson Valley and stuff like that, you see these like retreats where they would just like send, or like if you do the research or whatever, there's like these retreats for like TB and like, so he's probably like, get them away from Lake Placid. We don't want them spoiling the water.
Yeah.
There's a huge sanitarium like right next door to Lake Placid, and they were like, hey, it would actually be really good for these patients if they could like go exercise in the cool climate. And he was like, no,
I don't think so.
Yeah.
I don't think they're all sick. Also, upstate has a lot of Jewish summer camps.
Yeah.
There's like loads of them up there.
We did that with when we talked about Bernie Madoff. They called it what the Catskills were the Jewish Alps.
That's fun.
That's a
They
great
call it
It's
nickname.
fun. Jews don't ski though.
No, but
They snowboard.
They all snowboard.
all snowboard, all
Yeah.
Shaun Whites.
Extreme pass.
Yeah,
So we're not going to go much into his later life. At this point, as he's getting older, he's splitting his time between Lake Placid and Lake Stearns, Florida, which when he gets there, he immediately is petitioning the town board to rename Lake Placid, which they do. So he's splitting his time between the two Lake Placids, New York and Florida.
My God.
It's at this point that Godfrey is kind of like taken over the active role of leading the club, and he is the one that is, when you think about Olympic committees nowadays, for when the city wants it, they put together like these huge, massive teams, like hundreds of people. To be
They
like,
get every idiot they can find to put time into this.
the reason that the Olympics were sent to Lake Placid in 1932 is purely because of one man, Godfrey Dewey. He's by himself, and he just goes to like I think it was in Paris, and he's like, you should be choosing Lake Placid. And they're like, what the fuck is that? And he puts on a great presentation. He learned French. 1932 Olympics are on their way to Lake Placid.
so Godfrey didn't follow in his father's footsteps. He just became like a rich kid that fucking hung around.
he did the right thing. He just became a rich kid that fucked around on ski slopes.
That's awesome.
Yeah, what a rich kid should do. You should never become known when you're a rich kid. Just stay a child forever and hang out and do cool shit.
Yeah, you hear that,
please,
George
please don't
Bush?
rent anywhere in Huntington. I'm tired of it.
Yeah.
I say, George Bush, it would have been so much better if you just flew jets and did coke. Come on.
You could have just stayed the owner of the Texas Rangers and just fucking loved baseball
Yeah. Yeah, that's...
instead of doing 9/11.
Look, I could do a whole 10-part series on rich kids, but...
Yeah,
Dead
so
ones.
Godfrey had the right idea. So, however, we're not done with the story of Dewey because the sexual harassment does not go away with age, as we well know.
Of course.
In 1927, at the age of 76, he hires a new stenographer, and in a letter to a friend after hiring her, described her as, quote, a dainty little flapper and better looking than I expected. Little spelt Litl, better BETR.
Yeah. Great.
And when they're in public at one point, he gropes her and starts kissing her, and she turns around and sues him and is prepared to bring charges of sexual impropriety when they finally settle for a neat and tidy sum of $2,147.66. That would be nowadays about $35,000.
Do you think that she sued for that much because it wasn't like an even 10? She's like, just to fucking piss you off. I'm going to make it 66
I'm suing for $9,999.99. Yeah.
No!
Yeah. I'll give you one more $1, please.
What's even worse, you'll be hearing from my lawyer.
Let me give you a pat on the ass.
Jewish.
We'll throw an extra $1.
Ah! Not a Jewish lawyer.
No!
And he uses base 12. Now, Dewey was unrepentant about this whole affair, did not give a shit. The main thing he was worried about, that he would constantly badger his friends about, he was worried that it would get out that a woman got $2,000 for no work.
Yeah, well, that does
That was
hurt.
his primary concern.
You know, if there was no sexual assault in that, and a woman did get paid for doing nothing, that hurts.
Sure.
That does hurt. That hurts a man's ego. But, he did get a touch out of it.
Yeah.
So that all goes away.
Yeah.
$35,000 for a little kiss.
Yeah, a little snog.
Yeah. But on December 26th, 1931, just after his 80th birthday and just a few weeks before the crowning, opening of the games at Lake Placid, Melvil suffers a stroke in his Lake Placid, Florida home and passes away, like I said, at the age of 80.
Ooh.
And that's his death. However, immediately after his death, all the biographies start to get published, but all the biographies are with approval from his family, so they conveniently gloss over all the sexual assault and anti-Semitism, even though, again, the sexual assault was very well known at the time and constantly talked about. The reason that he's no longer working in libraries is because of it.
Wait,
Right.
Why? You don't need. You could publish anything on anyone you want, as long as it's not defamation.
It was the 1930s. I don't know.
So like that, like the fact that the family gets involved like that, that's illegal. It's not like film rights.
Well, that's kind of what happened.
Book.
The family kind of had like a role in it, and most of the biographies are written by men, so they're not going to talk about it. And it's not until 1996 that an author, I think his name is Garrett Wagland, writes a book called Irrepressible Reformer. This came out, like I said, in 96, and it kind of just opens everyone's eyes to what people who knew Dewey knew about him. And everyone's like, oh, he is a monster. He was a sexual predator. Maybe shouldn't have all of the top awards in the ALA and the library world named after Melvil Dewey. Yeah. And so that all got stripped mostly in like the last 10 years. You won't find his name really anywhere in libraries aside from the name of his decimal system.
It's really interesting because a year before that bio came out, Jimmy Kimmel was writing a bio while he was shopping around the Man Show. And he's like, this guy is my fucking hero, bro.
Yeah.
Oh, boy.
Yeah,
well,
so
that's Dewey.
Yeah, so we're stuck with this system because, again, it works really well, but not super well.
Look, if there's something good in your life, someone who brought it to you may have raped. Usually, I mean, we're talking to microphones right now. Who knows what the guy who made the first microphone did?
Stephen Microphone?
Stephen Microphone. He was a massive rapist.
Yeah.
And fuck him.
He was very big into forcefully sounding people because he had a microphone, you know?
That's horrible.
Yeah.
That's a horrible thing for anyone to experience.
Yep.
Any man or woman with a penis to experience.
They got a urethra.
Yeah. Oof.
Oof. He's got a mic.
I want to use this advantage because you are a librarian. What is is there any moment in your career where you had to like put away a book or organize something and you were just like, why is this here? Like, because you mentioned the thing with homosexuality being in like mental disorders. Obviously that was before your time, but is there something where you're like, why is this in this area?
No, nothing that sticks out because also for the most part, the books in the public library are like really inoffensive for the most part, and it's usually pretty obvious, like, oh, this is a book about World War II. Put in World War II.
Where's Mein Kampf go?
Mein Kampf would probably either go under the 900s for history or maybe under biography Hitler. Probably is where it would go.
It is under biography Hitler.
Yeah, biography.
I saw it there when I was at the library looking for biographies for this show.
There you go.
So, there's that.
Yeah.
How about the Anarchist Cookbook? I just want to do all the
Anarchist Cookbook. Let's try and figure that out.
This is where you shouldn't be in the library.
Would that be either sociology or technology, also known as the useful arts?
Useful arts. That's
Useful
what I was
arts,
going to say. I think useful arts.
Or it could be under in the zeros under general works. That's also funny. So the zeros is kind of just the leftovers. So like everything that like academics don't want to admit is like real. So like all like UFO stuff, all conspiracy stuff, all like
the fun stuff.
All the fun stuff isn't like the 004 stuff like that. It's all right in the beginning.
I love reading that kind of shit.
Yeah.
And fucking Stanton Friedman stuff.
Yeah, so like all theirs will go in like the general works.
That's great.
Wait, hold on.
Bigfoot shit.
I just got this book, and it just mainly just to show you guys because it looks so fucking crazy. I picked this up at an estate sale. The Path to the Immortals.
Oh, yeah.
Like, this is like some legit fucking, there's like Bible, Israeli UFO experience. Like, this was just somebody in somebody's fucking living room.
That's awesome. That's going to be in my living room one
Look,
day.
it's talking about some fucking ziggurat in all caps.
Ooh.
Yeah, that's a 000 book.
Yeah, there's Behold a Pale Horse. The conspiracy theorists are really into their all caps.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yeah.
Bill Cooper does a lot of all cap shit. Fun.
Yeah.
Might mind this for a subject.
There you go.
Well, speaking of subjects, thank you, Connor,
Yeah.
for bringing this one in, letting us know how libraries were all founded on terrible rapes.
Right.
And for that, I see a little more humor. I see a little more tragedy within the scope of a library now.
That's what I'm trying to bring to the world.
Well, I'm going to say now you've got maybe if people that listen to our show you have less people coming to the library. It's like, I'm not supporting this shit.
Well, no, just browse the fiction section because he hated that.
Oh, yeah, true.
Yeah.
Take out Lord of the Rings. Lord spelled.
Yeah. Take out 11 books.
Yeah.
Don't return any of them. And then bring them back to a different library.
Yeah, well, that's like they should put those in those BuzzFeed hack videos. Like, guess what, guys? You don't need to return books anymore.
Did you know?
That's like
God.
ordering the secret menu off Starbucks.
There's a secret menu at Starbucks?
No, it just makes baristas hate their life when people say that. Is there a secret menu?
Oh. You say yes, and then do the Dewey. on
Yeah.
them.
You
Grab-
say
just
yes
grab-
and you spit in their
grab a-
coffee.
Grab a part of their body that would make them most uncomfortable. And say, I'll hold on to this for 5 minutes.
Do you
That's
think
the secret menu.
Do you think it wasn't actually sexual assault? It was just creepy. Like he's like a foot guy, and he's like, I guess this would still be
No,
sexual assault.
it
But he
was
counted
sexual
their
assault.
10 digits on their toes. 1, 2,
I just wanna see.
3.
Do you got 10? Let me count them.
Or just like any book he had, he made the V shape with it and just like, stuck his tongue through it.
Just doing that across the desk. Like, that's all it was.
That's him on a boat. 4 different ladies. What?
This is outrage.
I think this is assault.
Oh man! Imagine
Nah,
being trapped
it
on
was
a
definitely
boat.
sexual assault.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right.
That would just be like a weird joke.
Yeah.
He just did a weird joke at me.
I don't think he was capable of humor. That's the problem.
Yeah.
Yeah, it didn't
He
seem
does
like
not striking me as like a funny guy.
Yeah,
No.
no. I think he's wisecracking.
Yeah, he's just out there. Look, Haas, no hands on the wheel.
Can you do the stick shift?
Oh,
I forgot it's an automatic.
Yeah. It's my pants. All right. Thanks for listening to the show, everyone. It's been a pleasure having you here, Connor. Once again, thank you. Travis, thanks for joining us again from the old West Coast.
Yeah.
And look, patreon.com/roastmortemcast, where we'll take your money and file it along with the rest of our money.
Yeah.
In the
Most important thing, you gotta just show people the show. Spread the
yeah,
word.
show people the show.
Spread the word.
We need more
Yeah.
people listening. I got a letter from, I think, our 1 millionth listener the other day, and they
Yeah.
said, God, I wish there were more people out there to talk about your show with. And I said, me too. Go make it happen. I'm busy researching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Go make
right?
the next million.
Yeah. So thank you to that person. And thank you, Shane. Everyone.
Tank 'em, Shanes.
All right.